Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Patrick with Denial Racing and Performance. It's been a while since I posted on YouTube. Had a lot going on, nothing crazy, just work, basic bullshit. Again, I don't tend to make this a career of filming stuff, but it is pretty cool what I get to do here, and I kind of want to share it with everybody. So this video is going to be an overview of what's in the shop currently, some of the projects I'm working on. I'm going to highlight two big ones. One is mine, and one is a very close friend of mine's. And with that, if you're looking here, these are going in that race car, spoiler. And this is all titanium. So this is from Hammer Concepts and Designs, great company. It's not a paid ad or anything. They just make great shit. So I ordered from them, and titanium drive shaft enclosure, okay, titanium can. And we're going to get this ready for the car here. It's an LDR. It's an SN95. I forgot what year it is. I don't think he knows what year it is. My buddy. But it's an LDR. It's a Hemi. It's a root style Hemi. And I'll swing the camera around and we'll get talking about that. But really cool stuff from Hammer Concepts here. We got their dual parachute. The cables are sitting over there. They're kind of annoying. This is a pin-in drive shaft enclosure. So we're going to set the height of all this. Then I'm going to TIG weld this titanium, and then we'll set the taper for this and the length. It's going to go in the car. I'll explain that stuff too. We have some updates on my SUV, Denial. Where that's at now, kind of basically to start off, when we get to that point, is I didn't make Hot Rod Drag Week, and I wasn't surprised. I wasn't going to push myself. It just didn't happen. There were too many questionable things to really, when it came to time, money, availability to get to do that, it wasn't going to happen. Not a big deal. Okay, I wasted $500. What am I going to do? So when it comes to that, right after Hot Rod Drag Week 2 ended, I think September 19th, Sick Week registration came up, and I said no, because I'm not going to kind of push myself to do that. There are a couple of events. The truck is very close to being done. But there are some events in Florida right before Sick Week that is U.S. Street Nationals. That's where this car you're going to see here in a minute is going. Another friend of ours, they're hoping to make that event, and I think they're going to. Whether I can or not is a whole different story. I have to get that truck down there, and I have to take time off of work, and I'm a busy guy, and I don't like doing it. So it's going to be a whole thing. I'm going to start planning that probably in December sometime before Christmas. So let's head over to the Mustang, and I'll kind of give you a rundown of what I did to it and where we're going from there. So, all right, so here is the Mustang, and you notice it's a little bit of ways away from getting done. But I'll kind of explain generally, I guess, how it started. I'll start from there. It was a running, driving car, and he was struggling to get it. Now, I've crewed with him, I think, 4 or 5 times now. I have a blast. He has a full legit setup, mostly going to, Maryland and Pennsylvania to race it. It is an LDR car. It is a Roots Hemi. I forgot what it is. Alan Johnson motor. I don't know. It's an older style 4.8, and he's been keeping it together, and it's been working pretty good. It's just, again, kind of struggling to get where we need to be, especially with weight and everything else. We're kind of, from what I gather, he's been putting weight where it doesn't benefit him the most, but it makes the car go. So a few things. The weight was the biggest problem, okay? So what was originally here was not the OE firewall, but it was kind of done. This car is, from what I gather, was done in stages. And was it the greatest? No. Was it terrible? No. However, it could have been a whole lot better. We need to start utilizing the weight of the car in the places we need to put it, right? So what I wound up doing is removing everything here. Now, this had a half-inch mid plate on here, and it had this is your mid plate hoop. It had that, but it wasn't really tied in correctly. And the firewall was kind of uneven and mismatched, so I evened it up. The rules are with LDR, you have to have, this is a 3/4 chassis, and what that means is everything else is basically tubular, has a 4-link, but the car came with a K member, so it has to run a K member. The firewall has to originate in the factory location, and it has to have the original frame rails. A lot of people cheat when it comes to this stuff. We're not all about that. He's not all about that. Very honest guy. But we're sticking to the rules when it comes to doing this. So the OEM frame rails have to stop in line with the spindle. Okay, they don't have to go. They don't have to, but they don't have to go all the way forward. Originally, they were here. Okay, and then there was a bar from here, and there was some type of bracket that tied in for the K member, this front mount. I had removed all that. Now we have to put the frame rails back in, and the original ones are going back in. They're just getting skinned and then getting attached to the tube that I put in here. There was not a tube here, okay? I'll bring the camera in too, but just generally explaining a lot of the stuff. This was a double frame rail car. If you don't know, we have kind of two frame rails down there, being a tube chassis. This is a 25.3, 25.2, I believe, double cert. And we have to do, for strength, we have to do a double frame rail. That was in the car. I removed all of that, kind of redoing it. It is a pain taking this transmission in and out. I haven't done it. I haven't seen him do it, but from what he tells me, it's a huge pain. So let me bring the camera and we'll start, maybe we'll start in this area and then we'll go to the in cabin. I'm just mostly focusing here around everything. So, all right, so we got a close up here. We could see these were, this is 1.5 inch chromoly, and I wound up, bending it here, giving a little kick out here. I wound up having to extend the original tube chassis here. This car had several iterations, kind of annoying. There's a lot of things that could have been better, and I'm trying to make corrections and make it worth it. And so I wound up having to extend these so that we can drop the mid-plate hoop directly onto the chassis. So that's sleeved properly, and we'll leave it a little bit along for the future. If he ever wants to do a full tube chassis, he can just add to that, which is nice because God forbid he ever hit the wall, you have a spot to cut. So I wound up adding these. These were not in here. I attached them to the original tube here, the number 6 bar. And what I wound up doing, now I didn't have it on chassis jig. My chassis plate is at another friend's shop. So I had to get creative, and I had made a similar sleeve style with a billet piece of aluminum to mount the factory location of the K member for the rear. And I used a piece of 1 5/8 tube, notched it, welded it onto here, and we have a captured lightweight threaded bung that's welded into the 1 5/8, so we can attach our 7/16 bolt to that. Now, I had made every piece to this hoop, mid-plate hoop. I had spun these out of 4130. These are hollow sleeves, 1.25 OD, put a hole in it. So that kind of helps. I still have to put tabs on each side at the bottom to hold the motor plate. And I'll grab that here. Started doing some sheet metal. I have that piece over there. I have this piece mocked up, ready to go. I have to do a couple, I have to get in here, get some welding done for the double frame rail. So I decided not to permanently attach them. These I have started to do. So this is all 024 steel, all class legal. I still have to put some pieces here to close this off. And then we have the original firewall. And again, as per the rules, the firewall has to originate in the factory location. It does not have to be the OE firewall. It can be completely replaced and modified, basically for safety. So we're starting right at this lip here, which is our rule limit for the firewall. So we're doing that. As well as this had a larger cowling. Let me pop the camera up. All right, so this had a larger cowling that kind of went all the way down here, came out. There was a big cutout for the blower, which we're going to be doing, but we minimized that. I wound up moving the dash bar down 3 inches. Doesn't need to be that high. Adding all new metal in here, all tube. Everything came out pretty great there. And I'm going to wind up taking sheet metal from the dash bar and bringing it up to this level here, giving it a new, more or less basically giving it a dash. And then we'll be able to, from the backside, mount a couple things like our FT Spark. This runs on Fuel Tech. Everything it has is Fuel Tech. So we'll be able to do that and really mount the things, keeping a lot of the stuff originally was inside the car. So that's pretty neat. Excited about how it's going to look and function. The other thing too, with being a large Hemi and this being mostly a flat wall, we could not get to the back of the head. And if on a root style or even a screw blown engine, they're so violent and they vibrate and shake everything. Everything comes loose, so you have to check over the entire car fittings. And we have two oil fittings, one on each side on the back of the head that we really can't get to. So this is going to make it a whole lot easier with this space in here to get to that fitting, which is literally right in this area. So I'm really pumped about that too. And everything's coming out pretty great, making pretty good progress on it pretty quickly to get it ready. We're going to have the engine here pretty soon as well. So I'm excited about that. But let's go into the cabin. Like I said, this was a pretty complete car. I mean, it was a running car. The engine came out to get freshened up for the season, and it's going back in. We're going to be starting hopefully January, end of January, in Bradenton, Florida for U.S. Street Nationals. So we decided this kind of snowballed. It was supposed to come in and get some lightweight stuff and everything else, but we realized there were too many headaches in the pit when we were trying to get this thing ready. So I made the call and basically convinced him to do it. So, you know, I got to cutting, and originally just cutting everything out. Again, I had a double frame rail coming in here that attached from the back bar back over to the hoop. It had a trans cross member here, which is, it's going back in, but we're moving everything, right? So we're trying to make it a whole lot easier. So now I'm going to extend the trans mount and kind of have that meet up. So that's going to be pretty nice. So I cut out a lot of stuff that wasn't needed. There's a lot of excessive stuff here. And the biggest thing is basically starting over so that we can do our double frame rail, which 2 frame rails left and right, about that high with a couple diagonal reinforcements out of a little bit smaller diameter tube for the drive shaft enclosure. In the beginning of this video, I showed you the titanium there, 2 halves, and we're going to make a drive shaft enclosure. And the biggest thing is if we have to do a mess with the converter, torque converter, the transmission, anything, it was very difficult. And the other thing too was it had a Chevy bell housing with a Hemi block. So the bolt patterns were different. So the mid plate kind of did a receiving. It basically had countersunk bolts holding the engine block to the mid plate. And it would be a nightmare to try to get that stuff out, especially if you have to do a stator change. And so in deciding this, I'll show you the transmission, but we went from a Chevy bell housing. It's a Reed Reed case, so it was built by Rossler. It's a 2-speed. And we decided to go and get a Hemi bell housing for it that bolts onto the Reed case, and basically making it so that studs can go in and the engine can come out without having to take the transmission out, because that was a previous thing. Also, this had a permanently fixed drive shaft enclosure. So taking the transmission out is a huge battle. To make it easy, to be able to at least move the transmission back, okay, we have to disconnect the drive shaft, but we still wouldn't be able to move the transmission back because the tunnel was not removable. So now we're making it removable so that we can take the tunnel out with the drive shaft, slide the transmission back, leaving the transmission in hooked up for the most part with its lines and electrical wiring, and gaining access to the torque converter to make any changes we need to make. So it's much faster to be doing those things instead of having to tear the whole car apart. This is all in preparation for the bigger events, bigger races. So we're kind of working up to Yellow Bullet, basically, getting used to the new changes to the car. And if we have a problem where we do have to change a converter, change a stator, fix something, it's significantly reduces the time we're going to be wrenching on this car, which is a very good thing. So a lot of updates with this car. I'm really excited to see it go out, and we wound up moving the driver back to help with weight. I think I moved the seat back about 3.5 inches, 3 3/4 inches. We're doing floor-mounted pedals instead of hung pedals. This had a hung Wilwood brake dual master with a hung gas pedal. So everything basically mounted up. Everything's going to be mounted on the floor on an adjustable rail, more or less. Different bolt hole locations to be able to make the driver comfortable. If we have to change some type of position with the seat or whatever we have to do, we can do that. So I'll show you some pretty cool stuff on the seat bracket too. I made new custom seat brackets for. It's a carbon lightweight Kirky design style seat, so it's pretty neat. And so yeah, really pumped about it. Again, putting in some new stuff. I got to do a little bit more sheet metal as well, and hopefully get this thing done here in December. I haven't had it that long, possibly maybe a month, maybe a month and a half, excuse me. And got a lot done on it and pretty happy with it. And we're starting to see the finish lines here. So once we get the engine, we can then place the new, now that we cut everything off there, now we have to redo the motor plate supports and the strut, going to the strut tubes from the lower frame rail. So a lot of cool stuff that's also going to make this so much easier to work on. It was a nightmare. So pretty pumped about that. I'll swing the camera in here and show you what it looks like from this side and what I had to do to the tunnel. All right, different perspective. As you can see here, I'm leaving that piece of steel tunnel in there. I'm going to finish off the bottom and make it a complete oval. And that's going to be the receiving end of the removable tunnel that's going in there. So it kind of helps seal it off. So that piece is staying, but that came all the way out to here. And again, was a permanent fixture. It was welded into these locations here. And it was obviously not something you want when the future, just time. Everything is time, and it makes it so much easier. And we're cutting so much weight, making this thing really optimal for what we want to do. Here's the seat. I'll pull the seat out and kind of get a close up with the brackets. I think they're pretty cool. Handmade them out of sheet metal, cut them on a bandsaw, TIG welded them all together, trace the contour of the seat. So it has a whole lot of like footprint or kind of meet up where the seat meets the flat surface of the brackets. That's pretty neat. But this is a general idea of what the inside of one of these looks like if you've never seen one. This floor is steel. These sections have to be steel. This is going to be open. You're basically looking at the transmission when you're racing. There is no cover or anything on this car. And the other side can be carbon fiber, which it is. I had removed the carbon fiber floor on the passenger side. And half of the midsection here with the X is carbon, and the rest has to be steel. Moving the trans crossmember back, so now we can drop, or excuse me, now that we can, if the trans does have to come out, we can drop it straight out because the double frame rail is going to be above it, but we can still slide the transmission back. Moving this bar back and then be able to now install the trans crossmember, which is going to be a little bit easier and lighter, being out of possibly aluminum or titanium. I don't know yet. I haven't got to that point. So I'll show you some of the stuff we got ready to go for this too. All right, no fancy display for this, but you can see we have a Rossler 400 2-speed. We updated this can here. It is a billet aluminum with a titanium liner inside, so it's very safe. And then he also went ahead and got the rear differential updated, redone. So Mark Williams center with their bearing support. This is a killer freaking center section. But so that's going to go back in, and we have to get the drive shaft done. So we're going to do that. So I got to take some measurements on that. And it was too long or too short. I forgot what he said. So we're going to get a drive shaft done for that because there were issues with it. I think the 4-link was lengthened to fit the drive shaft that was done. So we're going to make sure that we can get the 4-link back to neutral and then measure for drive shaft. So really nice stuff, high dollar stuff here. None of this stuff is cheap. None of this stuff is cheap. And, you know, pretty cool stuff, but very expensive. So I'll point at a couple things that I like in this car. I'm bringing the camera over, and then we'll talk about SUV, Denali over there, my 2007 GMC Envoy, Denali, and where that's at right now. That's just some really cool stuff. I still got to do some finishing welding in there, but really nice little tie-in support. I think the previous version did have a bracket, but it didn't go up to here. And it just basically was like a 1/8-inch sheet metal bracket that came off horizontally to meet to this. I had marked it off. I'm going to be trimming the remaining stuff off here. A lot of this stuff was cut for weight. And I didn't like that bracket being there because the Pro Jacks lift up right there. And it was basically putting so much load at this point and didn't seem that strong to me. We don't need much here. I mean, it is a lower A-arm car. where they strut. We didn't need much here, but for this, I wanted this to be a little bit beefier, and then of course everything else. But yeah, pretty pumped with just kind of getting this to where I wanted it to be, and you know, getting all the welding done. Again, I had to remove some stuff. Not ideal, but it is what it is. And I got some pretty cool parts I think I want to show you guys. All right, so here is the new mid plate that I had cut out. The starter is hub centric, very critical to this, but this now matches our mid plate hoop, and it's cut out to basically saddle onto the Intra 5/8 tube. That's the lower chassis frame rails. So really cool doing that. I might go back in and take some weight out too, but right now it's not too big. It's very similar to what was in there. The other thing we're doing is it had your typical Strange steering hub and steel, column and everything else. So we're going to a carbon fiber. I have it taped up here. You see carbon fiber, really cool, really light. That's a whole kit. I forgot where he got this from. It might have been Hammer Concepts as well. And this is a piece of 3/4 inch titanium, just weighs nothing. This is going to be the steering column shaft itself. Also, he had the MPI wheel, really nice. And he had an extension that was 4130 chromoly. And he decided to go with the titanium extension, weighs absolutely nothing. Also went with a Motion Raceworks, really nice piece. This is their column disconnect, quick disconnect, with a titanium disconnect piece that we're welding on to the shaft itself. So really lightweight, really focusing on lightweight for this entire car, just to get the weight out of it so we can put the weight where it is truly needed and effective for the car instead of band-aiding it. And I feel like that's what he's done. And from my experience, being part of the crew, and everybody's dedicated. When we go there, it's volunteer, and but we love it. I've known this my buddy for years, like probably a little over 10 years, I think, and really great guy, and kind of happy and I guess proud to kind of work on this. It's just cool. It wouldn't have been cool if everybody was kind of a douche, like it wouldn't be that fun, but everybody's just so chill and dedicated and focused. Like nobody's really messing off or anything. So it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty happy to be making these updates so that we can win more and be more competitive. It's a lot more fun. If you haven't been in it, and when you're working on the car, trying to get it right, and it just makes that perfect, hit, you're like, you just feel good. Especially when you qualify, you're like, we're in, like you're good to go. So it's a really cool experience. Great people, great crowd, blah, blah, blah. So this is the titanium dry shaft enclosure from before. These are all the components here. Parachute handle mount. I kind of liked it. Matches the color of the car. I picked everything out. So pretty cool about that. And yeah, let's go over to my project that I hope to bring to US Street Nationals, which is my Envoy. No, I don't like grinding dust or anything, especially with my CNC machines. So the benefit, if I do have to grind, I can actually push stuff outside on a nice day. So I usually schedule it for that. But it still gets dusty, and the machines with their white oil and everything kind of gets atmospheric. So I like to keep the nice stuff covered. So there it is. I don't have front brakes on it yet, but you can kind of get a pretty good idea of what it looks like. I think it looks cool. Get the camera a little bit closer. But basically it is an LS stock block, stock heads for now. Try to get into that, but it is an LC9. I think it's out of 2013 LC9 5.3 stock bore, stock stroke. And when I got this, it was very low mileage. The gentleman had the engine sitting, I cannot remember what he said, but it had like less than 50,000 miles on it. It was spotless in this engine. And it developed I think it sat and then it was driven again. It developed a bad lifter noise, so they just parked it. Then they replaced the engine eventually, and this one just sat for years. So I picked up this complete engine intake to pan, and I tore it all down, cleaned it all, and I have videos on the channel of me boring the cam tunnel on it, because instead of having a Babbitt bearing for the cam, wound up, it is a 55 millimeter cam. I wound up boring it to put a rollarized cam, basically a needle bearing, instead of the Babbitt bearings for all 5 bearings in this engine. It does a couple things. What it winds up doing is these LSs can have an oiling problem, and to make it easier on when we put this roller bearing in, I wish I had one, I kind of make it a little bit easier, but if you can look it up, but it's basically oil feeds the cam, factory cam bearings first, the Babbitt bearing, and it goes down to the main. Well, sometimes that can cause an issue with oiling to the mains. With a roller cam needle bearing, it does not allow oil to go into it. It's completely sealed off. So when we slight press those bearings into the cam, the new bored cam tunnel, it blocks that oil off. Now these bearings, not a problem, because they only need oil splash, or ounces of oil per revolution, which is basically nothing. They rely on oil splash, and there's plenty in this motor. So we did that. I also built or machined, I believe it's in my channel as well, is the billet aluminum main caps at a 6061, and that was put in here, and hopefully to be able to get a little more durability out of it. My process is aluminum and aluminum. They're both going to grow and contract at the same time. So I had pinned the mains in. I had it, I think Charlie Weston did the machine work up here in North Jersey, and he had bored, I cannot align hone the mains. So sorry, it looks like an attack by a rabid raccoon, but just unfortunate nicks and cuts of working on this stuff. And anyway, so for the crankshaft, it is a Manley, their version, it's a Manley billet 8 counterweight crankshaft, factory LS stroke with 3-inch 625 thou. It is a factory bore, not 5 thou over. I did a very quick hone. Everything looked great. Torque plated it, still looked pretty straight, and wound up getting Summit Pro LS pistons, because it's a great piston, just the pin is shit, and wound up upgrading the pins. It has, so I got an almost $2,000 crankshaft in there. It has Cali's Ultra Rods. They're good to probably a little more than 2,000 horsepower. 6-125 rod. It has good rings in it, file fit. Really good bearings. I think our main clearance is 3.5 thou, and I think our rod clearance is 2.8 thou. I had done a lot of work to the factory oil pump to get that to last longer and flow better without any issues. They have problems around 7,000 RPM of scavenging. So with the heads, I had somebody who does them for a living, but focuses on them. But it turned out they didn't focus hard enough, and we were on a crunch time for Hot Rod Drag Week. So what wound up happening is I made the call just to utilize the OEM heads that actually came off this truck, wasn't the block, but the heads I had, the 243s, I actually sold them to my buddy and said, hey, can I borrow them? And basically just have to find him another set of 243 heads. 1/2-inch head stud, LS9 head gasket. We're not going to be pushing too much boost. It's going to need a fire ring, but interesting fact, if you don't know, that an LC9 has a almost 1/4-inch sleeve wall thickness from the factory, so it's pretty reliable. So a lot of cool stuff with this. I made a custom oil pan. And future videos, you might see the breakdown as we go over this entire thing, like race it and kind of get more content of racing it. If you have noticed, I don't really film too much in the interim of like me doing stuff. I try, it's not easy, but really cool. It's going to be running on methanol. Okay, backtracking to the cylinder heads, there are 243 heads, a little bit of mild work done to them. Valve job, they have Manley Inconel exhaust valves. I think it's a 159, 160, and I don't remember what the intakes were, but they are Manley's extreme duty or severe duty. I forgot. I think it's severe duty, but they are stainless intake valves. And all done by basically by DeSoma Racing Engines in North Jersey. The entire engine was assembled. It's freaking awesome. I have a reactor, aluminum flywheel, and a lot of good stuff on here. I'll get into more detailed stuff because some of the stuff has to come back off. But as you can see, I have twin turbos. They're 76 millimeter turbos, billet wheels from FIS. Those guys came on board. They were the first ones. I love their turbos. Their products are great. I mean, no complaints from previous use. So there are some videos of me actually turning down the back housings to take a T4 clamp, V-band. So they came on board, hooked us up. We got twin turbos, and I got the headers or hooker headers. I have to finish doing some of that work there. Brian Tuller Racing came on board as well, hooked us up with an intake, which is currently not on here because I didn't get the heads I needed. So we went to a Cathedral port, not an LS3 port, which I wanted. We were in a crunch for Hot Rod Drag Week, but now we're at this point. We're going to get it out there and do some shakedown stuff. So in the future, that stuff will change back to it. But they had hooked us up with some fuel rails, valve covers, and an intake, I think the Trinity intake. Snake Ear Performance, also on board here. Got us the injectors. They are a Bosch style 2200 for now. Again, it's only going to be kind of an 850. Reversion Raceworks came on board too with the dash, which is really cool. It's a 3D printed dash that fits in the factory. I have the factory dash in there, but it's all been gutted, but it fits. It's the bezel, the gauge cluster bezel, and it's for a Fuel Tech, the FT 550 and 600. Again, running on methanol, mechanical pump. I have a 12-1 crank trigger, MSD pickup factory cam sensor because we're only going to use it for startup. I have a Turbo 400, which is sitting over here. I'm not sure you can see it. It is going to be water cooled. I have AN, Make a Custom Kit, denialracing.com. You can see some of the products. I'm trying to update them as best I can, trying to just refine them and get them on the website. But there are several products up there. And it has the weld wheels in the front here, the Weld Lagunas, and we have our Bogart 15 by 14 wides in the rear. 295 Mickey Thompson radial R. ET fronts. They're a 29-inch tall tire. Okay, about the same, just to make it look decent, make it look right. You'll see some holes in the bumpers. Originally, the turbos were in the bumper when it was the revision of this was all-wheel drive, and I moved them up there for drag and drive. So that was what it was supposed to be. There is a 13-gallon cell that I made in the back. That's actually coming out for now because we're going to be doing a lot more track racing than street driving. But I am going to start it up on a street tune, just putting regular pump gas 93 into the methanol tank, which is up here. I had fabricated everything here as well. The turbo kit, the elbow. I'll bring the camera in. We'll kind of quickly go through it and some of the stuff I have on the shelf here. If you're wondering, it is a C6 front suspension completely. I had fabricated everything, all the brackets, did all the geometry, Ackerman, everything I could when it was sitting, and did a coilover on it, obviously. And everything works out perfectly. Manual rack. Forgot whose rack that was. It was a generic off of Summit Racing. I think it was like 250 bucks. So I'll bring the camera in and kind of give you a pretty good idea of what's inside. It's pretty cool. All right, we'll start off over here. I made my own kind of custom window net attachment, kind of like CJ's. I like making my own stuff, so I decided to do that. This is my steering wheel. It's a Grant, older Grant, with my extension, my strange column disconnect here. And this is why I need to get the Motion one, because it's horrible. I hate it. So we have our switches here. We have our bezel. I'll swing the camera around. Kirky seat. I have my B&M shifter. The wiring is not done, but this is all chassis wiring when it comes to that. It has a Fuel Tech FT 600 Pro harness that I had got from my buddy. He had replaced his. It's getting older, and I just decided I'll rehab it and make it work. Also, being an LS, I have LS coils, smart coils. So I think they're the Fast 1XR. I forgot what they are. Pretty good coils. So I had to get the smart coil harness. You can get the LS harness for Fuel Tech. However, I don't want to run a factory GM crank trigger because they're not reliable, very dangerous. So with this, I have a 12-1 crank trigger, which is super efficient. And that's what I use so I don't blow my shit up. I made everything brakes, pedals. I still got to finish the brakes. All sheet metal, so the entire tube chassis. It can be sorted to 25.3 650s if I put an X in top, and I think if I had to do something else, I forgot what it was. I think I had to put a bar up here. I don't remember. I don't want to. It'll cert. It's not certed yet. It's all chromoly, but it will cert to a 750 as of right now, just because I think the only reason is I didn't do an X. It has to be 1.125 or 1.25. I forgot, and it's only a 1-inch diagonal in there, which makes it good for a 25.5 certed chassis. So no exposed transmission, not for this, for more of a street drivable kind of deal. Transmission sitting out of it, but we have our Fueltech FT550, and that's going to go in here, and I'll bring the camera here, but we'll work our way back and show you everything I have in here. Here's a nice little shot of the back. Kind of dark, something I can do about it, but you can see I have my CO2 tank mounted right there on the back bar. That seat is just sitting in there. That's going to come out. I just have it sitting in there because I don't want to look at it. It's supposed to be for my co-driver, but obviously that's not happening right away. You see the whole chassis I built. I have my 9-inch down there. It is hard to see. Sorry about that. We have my tank, 13-gallon. That's going to come out, but it can go back in. Again, more of a drag and drive type deal. Let me see if I can you can kind of see everything going on. It's a 9-inch with a 4-link CJ race cars and a roll bar, the Average Johnson. It has a similar style to Tin Soldier's no prep, mid prep 4-link brackets. And I have Mensker radial valved. I think it's a 6-inch travel. No, excuse me, 7-inch travel shock. Obviously double adjustable with the canisters, and I had made these CNC billet brackets to mount them there. I kind of played with where they go and sit, but they're okay for now. Typical, I put these panels in to see if they actually fit, and they do. I don't have to really do anything. And aluminum wheel tubs, all the sheet metal. It's not the greatest. Again, kind of snowballed. I'm going to go back over and redo a couple of them, but I just had to get it done for Hot Rod Drag Week, which ultimately I didn't finish. But we got our this camera down there. Our billet kill switch, which is going to go to the master solenoid. The battery is going to be an extra 16-volt system, and that battery is actually going to go under the dash. Makes it a whole lot easier. And so the solenoid, the cut solenoid forward, is going to be by the battery too. I have to build the whole electrical relay control, but I'm getting to it. I got time, I think. All right, so it may be very difficult to see, but you can see the bezel in there, again, from Reversion Raceworks, the GMT 360, Trailblazer Envoy. Here is our Fueltech FT550. Just recently took it out of the box, been sitting for a while, but that actually pops right in to that, and it gets bolted from the backside. I have my Nano, which I have to get another one, but you can see it kind of now helps amplify that bezel. It basically just mimics the factory cluster, bolts into the factory location, and then your bezel would then bolt into that. So as you can see, it sits in there perfectly. It's nice, awesome location. Where the wires are popping out is going to be a switch panel, because with the radio, the nav system that this thing had, I think, and the HVAC controls, they're going to be switches. So I'm going to get the 8-switch Fueltech button system for the general engine stuff, and then switches on the bottom for blinkers and headlights and all that stuff like that. So really cool how that sits in there. He does fantastic work. It's a great dash. Again, just drop right in and bolted right in. So really happy with that. Got my window net. I'm gonna do a couple things on it. Fix some of the wire. This is actually battery, which is whatever. I got to do the brake pedal, but again, that's going to get moved. I just wanted to see the length of it because it was a used harness. And oh, door panels. I'm going to put whatever I can back in. I think I mentioned this in another video. I'm going to be doing aluminum because it won't clear. I want comfortability in the cage, not having it stab me in the leg or anything. So what I'm doing is an aluminum panel, but a buddy of mine has a graphics company, and so I sent him a high-def picture of the door panel. So we scaled it. I just haven't pestered him enough to get around to printing it, but basically printing a a picture onto vinyl, and then I'll put that vinyl on the aluminum so it'll kind of look like a factory door panel. You won't see any of this stuff. And we're still going to retain the electric windows, obviously. The backs don't work or anything, and I think those door panels are going to get bolted up, or excuse me, the doors are going to get basically locked out, but still be able to function eventually. So quick shot of the side dump. I'm still playing with that. Not sure, but that's where it's going to be. I don't have a choice of that, but I'm not sure. I got to look at the sizes and figure that out. But a little shot of that, and then those nice weld wheels. I like them. Converted the C6 spindle, the spindle bearing, to 3-inch studs, 1/2-inch 20 as well. Last shot we'll get, we got our puke tank. We have our, not an ideal location. I've heard criticism. I get it. It's pretty good. I hope that never happens. I'm not hanging out over a fender, over a tire, but I may scoot it in a little bit, but I'm getting close to here. So I'm not running hoses all the way back. I could, just not sure yet or what I'm going to do. We shall see. Hopefully it's not a death sentence, but we shall see. Again, throttle body, I had a cable in there. It was terrible. I'm doing mechanical for the pedal, so it's going to be a hard linkage. I have, take my word for it, I have an Enderle 11 GPM belt-driven pump, and I think you could probably see if I can get the camera a little bit closer for you guys. Yeah, so we can see the pump right down here. Okay, the feed line coming in from the tank to a Y, going back to the rails, coming back, returning, and then it eventually go to the tank. I just didn't finish that line. And some of the wiring just kind of laying out here. I kind of took the time, hopefully if you could see that, but I kind of took the time to do really nice low volt wiring with nice loom, a nice braided loom, and heat shrinked every merge and everything else. So that was one of my things. I just want everything clean. 16 volt alternator. I had made, it's a Summit. Sorry you can't see it, but maybe I'll try to do more content on it. But that is the 12-1 crank trigger. Now I took a Summit SFI rated balancer and wound up making my own magnet wheel to fit the backside of that. So that worked out pretty well. LS1, early LS1 water pump, where I made my own fittings. Again, denialracing.com for a kit. Gives you the thermostat, everything for streetable, even though it's going to be track driven more than street. But the options are there. Again, I had made the elbow. I got some of my sensors already plumbed into there. That is a cheap Amazon throttle body. Just being honest. I was in a rush. That's all I'm going to say. But I did modify it. I did weld a couple things. I welded the screws that hold the butterfly plate. I had made my own, because I had a bunch of these without the O-ring flanges. I had made them. I had made the 3.5-inch V-band step down to 3-inch tube coming in there. I do have race port twin blow-up valves I have to put on there still. And then obviously I have precision wastegates I have to put on. So yes, I have a list of things I have to do and hopefully get to it sooner than later. AFCO radiator, I got to make a better shroud for the fan. And I have my Dash 20 cooling line. So it's getting there. I do have a list, but it's a lot farther than where I was heading into Hot Rod Drag Week. Oh, I do have new headlights coming. I'm not doing the black ones. I think I'm going to do the chrome ones. The GMC logo was a reflector. I mean, the ugliest thing possible. But I don't know why they did it. Anyway, I'm going to do either have a 3D printed. I don't 3D print. My buddy does. Reversion Raceworks. But I'm going to, or a billet one, anodize it. GMC logo, just kind of blacked out. These headlights came when I purchased this truck many years ago. And they're old and worn out, so I want to get some new ones there. So, but that wraps it up for this video. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. I definitely answer everyone that's reasonable. Thanks again for supporting me, and really helps to grow the channel. It's been a while since I put out content. I do apologize for that, but life goes on. I got stuff here I have to do. Like, share the video, really helps too. Check back. Hopefully I'll have some more updates soon and try to get some more videos rolling out here. Now that I'm a little more settled and kind of moved the shop around, a lot had happened. Thanks again, and please check back. I'll have some more videos.